Just over 2 years ago, my client Leigh was stuck in a body that she didn't even recognize anymore and had little to no confidence. Today, she's 30 kilos down and counting and literally living a completely different life. This is all natural, no peptides, no weight loss drugs, no assistance. And in this video, I'm going to give you exactly how we transformed Leigh so you can apply some of the principles and the things that we've used to your own journey, whether you're trying to lose 5 kilos, 10 kilos, or if you have a big weight loss journey like Leigh with 30 kilos plus. So I'm going to break this down into just different sections. We're going to start with when she first came to me and the goal setting process. We're going to talk about early wins, which I believe was a big game changer. I'm going to talk about our method with eating and training. We're going to talk about the obstacles and the mindset that she faced that I believe other people face. We're going to talk about plateaus and breaks that we took. And then towards the end, I'm just going to add my own spin and my own opinions on Leigh's journey. So implement any of these things, and I'm sure you'll be able to take something away from it today. Right, if you'd like a little bit more in-depth help, I've created a free photo shoot lean guide, the exact methods that we've used with Leigh, the exact methods that we've used with the hundreds of transformations that we've got already, and something for you to implement yourself. The link is in the description. Go and get yours now. So let's get straight into it. So Leigh reached out when she'd just had enough. She'd had enough. She was sitting around 94 kilos. She tried everything, right? She tried group classes, she tried personal training, she tried other online programs. She tried everything, diet-wise, cutting carbs, carnivore, all these like really hyper restrictive diets that she would try. She'd go hard with for a couple of weeks and then fall off the wagon, and it was back to square one. The most important thing is she had a big desire, right? She had a desire to change. She had a big goal. She was sick and she was running from pain, where she was sick of how she was feeling day to day, and you do need that to start. So I want to make that nice and clear that she had tried all these other things. So if you're watching this video and you've lost all hope, Leigh was one of those people. Leigh lost weight quickly, and I believe that this is vital, especially if you have quite a long journey ahead. Against what most people in the industry would say, take it really slow and steady, figure out your maintenance and take a couple of hundred off that. I don't believe in that, because that is so slow. You're not going to be bought into the process early on. You're not going to see much change. You're not going to feel much change. It's going to be very unmotivating to see such slow changes. So what we've done with Leigh is we put her onto a meal plan. We showed her how to eat with structure, which she also had a good idea of. We ate very boring and repetitive, but we ate quite low calorie, right? And this got her to seeing about 1 kilo loss per week on average. What this does for her is it gives her an instant signal like, wow, I'm not doing as much of the hard stuff that I was doing before. I'm not having to sweat. I'm not having to do 5 or 6 sessions a week. All I've got to do is eat to this structure. Quite low calorie, yes. Quite challenging, yes. A few sacrifices, yes. But it got her to feel the changes and see those changes. So then that kind of set the tone for what was to expect, that when she's locked in, it equals this sort of progress. About our method with training. So our method, from Leigh trying all these F45 group classes, training 5-6 days a week, that was so hard to keep up with for anyone. We got her straight into a 4-day-a-week training split. Now, this was to prioritize building muscle, not burning calories. Right? So from her trying all these things, I knew that if we put in place a nice simple program, something for her to build consistency and confidence with, something for her to progressively overload. So this is where we were adding reps or weight every single week, and movements that weren't complicated, that don't risk injury, that don't risk you getting it wrong, right? Leg press, leg extensions, lat pull downs, movements that you can overload with, but are safe, right? This now got her to ingrain this new identity of someone that can be consistent with the gym. And that is vital, right? And it's vital that you don't go into the gym just to burn calories. Yes, it can be used as an extra tool, say cardio, but you want to fall in love with building muscle, because that is something that's always going to stay. And believe me, this is how you don't lose 10, 15, 20 kilos and look like you've aged 10 years. Right? Because a lot of people lose all their muscle in the process. Our method with dieting was to diet aggressively, to go low calorie, very high protein, foods that agreed with Leigh. Now, what I do with clients is we start with meal plans to create a bit of rigid structure. And then we also track towards a macro target to allow for flexibility, to allow for certain things on the weekends, to allow for life to happen and for us to make decisions on the go, and for us to track towards a target. Now that, I believe, is the best method for most people, right? Having rigidness with a meal plan, but then a little bit of flexibility thrown in there, right? Because if you just rely on a meal plan to be consistent with, well, then things are not always going to go to plan. Then you're kind of one-dimensional. The next part is obstacles and the mindset needed. Now, it's very easy to look at Leigh and think, oh yeah, it's easy for her, right? She's lost all that weight. It's so hard for me, right? I want you to know that every single thing that can possibly happen in life has happened with Leigh, right? But the mindset needed, and I've always enforced this to her, is to be emotionally unattached with what you do, right? Feel the emotion, of course, you're a human being, but do not let that completely deter you off the plan, because at the end of the day, that's probably how you've got out of shape in the first place. Just following your emotions, emotional eating, skipping the gym because it's uncomfortable. There's going to be certain days and certain weeks, just like Leigh did, where you're not going to feel like it, right? And you have to put that aside and always remember why you started and where it is that you're heading. The next bit, which is vital with a big weight loss goal and such as Leigh, is having diet breaks, knowing when is right to push, knowing when is right to pull back. So this could be, for example, weekends away. This could be obviously holidays. This could be just Christmas. This could be when fatigue builds up, or when we're kind of not really seeing much reward in the fat loss phase. Then cool, let's take a couple of months at maintenance. Now, me and Leigh, we took, I think, up to around 3 months on more calories, right? Where we kind of maintained our weight. She may have hovered just above that weight target, but where we spent time building our strength, building some muscle, and actually spent time experiencing the other side, right? Because it's also a mental benefit that when you're dieting, you feel like you've got no flexibility. You feel like you're just living on a diet. So it's good to experience that other side, even just mentally, and to have some more flexibility, to have some more fun on the weekends and those sort of things. And at the end of the day, she's got 30 kilos off, but I believe that those breaks and those things that we took were actually a step back to actually progress further in the longer run, right? To actually get 30 kilos of pure fat loss and have built some muscle in that time as well. My overall opinion on what Leigh's done so well that you can also implement into your own journey. So firstly, she had a pain that she was getting away from, right? She got the right guidance, but she also had the right mindset with that guidance to communicate with me when things were popping up, when she was having stresses, when she'd gone off track. Just complete full honesty, right? Now, I can be the best coach in the world, or you could have the best coach in the world, but if you don't tell them things, if you don't communicate with them, then it's very, very hard for us to know what's going on. Very hard for us to help you. So with your own journey, be honest. Be honest with yourself. When you get out of shape, it happens over months and months of justification, of emotional eating and things like that, and it just gets all messy. Make sure that when you do start your journey, you go, right, if you're getting guidance or you're doing it on your own, you've got to have full accountability to the process and the right mindset. Secondly, early wins. Like I said, the fact that we got such early momentum, we got trust built in the process, was what set up the groundwork and the momentum going forward. That's what got Leigh brought into the process, okay? So don't be scared of bringing your calories really low. Like I say, as long as you've got the guidance, as long as you've got the right structure with it and you're not just doing random things, brilliant. Same with the training. Make sure that you're going in the gym with prioritizing strength and building muscle, right? You do not want to lose 20 kilos of muscle and fat, because I'm telling you now, you're gonna add 10 years of age on you, right? It just does not look good. It does not look healthy. And like I say, you've probably seen it when people are on weight loss medication. You probably notice it in their face. Whereas Leigh looks fucking fantastic. She looks toned, she looks firm. And like I say, that muscle is there. You do literally have to become a different person. Leigh shows up in her personal life differently. her relationships, her work life. She's basically had to create a whole new identity for herself, and you don't get a dramatic transformation without that process. Now, it isn't an overnight thing. She hasn't locked in for 6 weeks and completely dramatically changed, as much as, you know, the first 6 weeks are quite vital in you being brought into the process. It takes time, right? And it's a process, and it's a ongoing work on yourself, on your consistency, on your habits, things that you never dreamed of doing, right? I could never be consistent like her. You might look at this video and go, I could never get to that stage, right? And she would have looked at this version of herself and probably thought the same. But the desire was there, the pain was there, we got the early wins, we got the right system, gave her the right support, right, with things that she needed, took diet breaks, knew when was right to push her, knew when was right to pull back. And at the end of the day, that is how to create a life-changing transformation like this. And I had to share it because I'm so fucking proud of her, of how far she's come. And I just wanted to give you some motivation and some help for your own journey. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and let me know how you get on with that free guide.